My car, I've got a little VW. For people that maybe don't know, we can show a picture or something. And I've had it for like 2-3 years now, and I've kind of just got to a point where I'm like, I've got 5 seats that I've never I've got 3 seats in the back that I've never used. Like honestly, no one has ever been in the back of the car.
Are they just sat on the curb, or do you
No, no,
drive
like
around with
literally,
them?
it's one of those cars where you can fold forward the seats and people can sit in the back.
Yeah.
But I bought it because I was like, oh well, I might need to transport more than just me and Belle. I've had the car 3 years, and the point where I was like, oh, I've definitely not used the back seat. So I was cleaning it out this weekend, and there was stuff from when me and Belle moved in the back seats that hasn't moved. So I was like, well, I don't really need this car anymore, and I'm kind of like trying to, bring down how much I'm paying monthly, not how much I owe, but like how much is monthly. And I was like, well, I'll have a look. And VW called me and were like, oh, you're at a point where you could trade in your car. So effectively, like I find the car is financially worth more than is worth on the finance agreement.
Because you leased it, right?
Yeah. So effectively what they want me to do is they want me to turn up, they want me to give an arbitrary value for my car, and then they want me to buy another VW. But they called me up and they were like, oh, okay, what are you interested in? And I said, I want a two-seater sports car. And they were like, okay, front engine rear wheel drive. VW don't do anything front engine rear wheel drive with a convertible top. Which the first guy that I spoke to that was like taking down the notes and stuff like that was like, okay, cool. Well, what we can do is we can send someone out and value your car. So we can tell you how much it's worth. We can give you a settlement offer for how much how much is left on the finance, and that shows you how much deposit you've had. And I'm like, perfect, thanks, mate. That was last Friday. So I had a look at some cars over the weekend, and everything was fine. Monday morning at 9:01, I get a phone call from a guy. He said, hello, this is VW. I'm not going to say where they are. And he goes, I just wanted to have a chat with you. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's perfectly fine. I am at work. Is it anything urgent? He was like, well, it's just to, I was walking around a car park. And he was like, just to chat to you about some cars we've got in. And I was like, oh, okay. Thinking like, well, in the UK, VW isn't VW. Like, it's a franchise. And that franchise might also own, like, a Mazda dealership or a Fiat dealership. So I was like, well, the two cars I told them I want was a Mazda or a Fiat. So maybe they've been like, we've got one at another dealership that you might be interested in. And he went, so 3 cars I want you to consider. A Golf GTI. That's a 5-door, front engine, front drive, hardtop with 5 doors.
Good.
And I went, no. And he went, I've got a VW Passat, which is a long,
Ooh.
like...
A Passat.
Passat, which is a big car. And he was like, it's got a big, powerful engine in it. I know that's kind of what you're interested in. I was like, no, don't want a big, powerful engine. Because I'm in the UK, I don't know how to explain this, but effectively in the UK, until you're a male over the age of 35, insurance companies reach into your wallet and take all of your money. Not some of it, all of it.
Yeah, no, that happens here too. It's just up until 25. So I'm getting over the hump.
Yeah, my insurance now is like not that bad. So I was like, I can moan about that in a minute as well, because that drove me insane. So this guy, effectively I told him, I said, look, these are the 2 cars I'm interested in. I know pretty much what colour and spec I want. Unless someone trades one into VW and you've got it and you want to get rid of it, please don't call me. I'm busy. I see, for those of you who don't know watching the podcast, I work in the wheelchair service. I'm kind of a specialist engineer and stuff like that. I'm very busy. I cover the entirety of Hertfordshire on my own. This guy calls me every single day with another 3 cars that weren't the fucking car I was after.
Are you sure you don't want this one though, mate?
Look, on Friday, he called up and he was like, hello. And I was like, hello, look, you called me 4 times this week. Unless you're about to tell me that you've got a Fiat 124 or a Mazda MX-5, please don't call me again. And he went, oh, well, we've got a VW Touareg, which is a 4x4. And I was like, dude, you're just going the other end of the spectrum now.
Did she, Ford F-150, how about that?
Yeah, no, not what I want. So I hung up on him and blocked the number. And I just was like, what the? And then I had to deal with another guy. So I've now actually found a guy that I'm going to go and see on Saturday and pick up a car, because he's effectively been like, look, like the guy sent me in half an hour, like, video of the car. It's pristine, it's perfect, it's the exact spec I want. I went to like a Fiat dealership around here and drove one that wasn't the spec I want, but because I've driven another one, I know that I like driving that car, so this is just in the spec I want. Perfect. But I called another guy. So VW turned up at my work, and I wasn't there because I was out, but one of the guys in the workshop was there, and he very kindly showed the guy around the car for me. And the guy does a detailed, like fully detailed thing of everything that's wrong with the car, all the little defects, all that kind of stuff. And then he gives you a value of that car. If VW were to take that car and sell it, how much it would be worth. And they said my car was roughly worth about £5,000, which is a decent amount of money.
Yeah.
So I called up this group that was based out of like Ipswich or somewhere like that, like rather far away.
Great city.
Said, hey, this is the car I've got. I'm looking to trade it in for this car that you've got. What value will you give me on the car? And then what can we work out, as a finance deal, as a lease deal? And the guy was like, yeah, fine. What's the reg on the car? And I told him my reg. Now, VW have just valued this car at £5,000. This guy turns around on the phone to me. He hasn't actually seen the car, so he doesn't know that it's in otherwise, he must assume perfect condition. He turns around and goes, okay, so for that car, a trade-in, we'll give you £2,500.
Oh, okay.
And I went, why? And he went, that's just how much we would pay for the car. And I was like, well, it's just been valued at 5,000. And he went, like, I could understand if he went like 4.5, because I'm like, yeah, fair enough. COVID, probably quite difficult to shift cars at the moment.
Barter a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. But he was just like, I was like, yeah, that's way too much off, mate. Like, come on, like, I'd accept 4.5. And he was like, no, not doing it.
Great. So you're still searching for a
Oh, no, I found a car. And do you know what
okay.
the brilliant thing is? The guy I called up, right? I said, hello, I'm interested in this car. And he went, cool, send me your reg. Right, I'll give you £5,000 for the car. I've got someone I know wants one of those. Boom. Sweet. And
with that,
he turned around and he said, look, I've got to offer these things, but you've been pretty honest over the phone, because I said to him, I said, look, I don't want to pay any more than this monthly. So any extra shit you throw at me, I'm going to say no to. So he said, I've got to say it. And I said, can you send it to me in an email? And he went, yeah. And the title of the email was, ignore this. Because he knew I wasn't going to fucking read it. And he knew I was going to say no. So he just said, right, we'll be perfectly fair in our assessment. If your car gets there tomorrow and there's like a dent down the side, then yeah, we're going to devalue it. But apart from that, I've sent him photographs. He's lovely. Why do car salesmen insist? Like, if I turn around, Jared, and go, I want a bag of chips.
Yep.
If you walk up to me with a jalapeno, I'm going to punch you in the face, because that's not what I want.
What if you want? What if I gave you a jalapeno and potatoes?
No, it's very simple, right?
But you could
Car
make
salesmen should work
jalapeno
the same-
chips.
Car salesmen should work the same as every other service, right? If I walk into a phone shop and say, I want an iPhone, and they turn around and go, we don't sell iPhones, I'll go, thank you very much, and I'll be on my way. I wouldn't expect
Perhaps are you interested in a Galaxy 4?
Yeah. But even then, it would still be a phone.
Yeah.
But like this, I was like, this is exactly what I want. I want a pen. And this guy was going, bowl? No. Chicken nugget? No.
Is that your dinner then?
It was my snack.
Oh, right. Well, you can snack a bit, because that was quite the story. So let's kick off the show now. with Gavin's story corner already. Welcome to Better Luck Next Week.
I feel like I don't want to interrupt you here, but I do feel like at this point we're 4 episodes in now.
Yeah,
we need a jingle, bud.
We need a okay. Well, I'm. Bing.
Okay, I want the jingle like you're hosting to continue on an upwards trajectory. Okay, because like first week you didn't even have a laptop. I had to do everything.
I know.
It's getting there.
We're getting there, right? I've put my laptop on like 8 different books now so that I can hide my microphone and speak into it now.
Brilliant.
So that works. That's a right innovation at its finest. Okay, so anyways, we are here and we do have sports to talk about instead of poor car salesmen.
Happening now, which is quite beneficial.
And well, we woke up this morning to news other than that Donald Trump and his wife have COVID, which is just it just gets better and better every day, to be honest, really. Especially after that debate.
There, but I don't think it's podcastable, so I'm going to leave it and I'm going to tell it to Jared after.
We woke up this morning to see that Honda has announced that they're leaving F1. And I think this is the best. Like, we'll get into the Russian Grand Prix later, but I mean, this is news of the day on Friday, October 2nd. And to me, here's how I saw it. I read a bit about it, and basically the decision is that they want to put more of their efforts into their emissions-free initiative that I guess is going to...
This isn't, by the way, the first time Honda have done something like this. It's happened before.
They left in like the mid 2010, the early 2010s, or even earlier than that.
Every single time they leave, it costs them the same amount of money as if they would have stayed. So
they came back in 2015, and now they're leaving again in 2022.
The problem that happened, so the original problem that happened is that every now and again they change whoever's the head of like the media, like relations, who has the bucket of money that they give to whoever's making the engines. Now, when Honda had a Formula One team, they'd signed Jenson Button and I think it was Rubens Barrichello and Ross Brawn as a team manager, and they threw billions at developing a car because effectively Honda turned around and they'd had a slow car for like the first 2 years. It wasn't great. And they turned around and said, right, how much money do we need to throw at this problem for us to be at the sticky end of the grid and fast?
Right.
And Ross Brawn went this amount of money. Now they spent that amount of money. And then I think it was 2 months before the first test, turned around to Ross Brawn and went, no, we don't want the team anymore. We're selling it. The car was fully developed. It was ready to go. Like, effectively, you've paid 90% of what it's going to cost because you've developed the car. Now you've just got to go and race it. And what they eventually ended up having to do was because Ross Brawn was like, well, everyone in the team, F1, like, we've got contracts that we have to pay. And basically Honda had to turn around and go, okay, here's, I think at the end it was an undisclosed fee, but they gave them enough money to go to Mercedes, buy some engines that Mercedes, that they plonked in, like literally not designed into the car. Like they were padding it out with washers so that this engine fit into the back of the Brawn. The Brawn wins the championship. Mercedes buy that team. Brilliant. But Red Bull will have had a contract in place that means that Honda is to supply them engines. They've all just signed the Concord Agreement, which is effectively them signing and saying, we will all participate in Formula One and for the next 5 years. And Red Bull have signed that.
Yeah, till 2025.
Yeah, which means that either Honda have got to pay them enough money that they go, okay, or Red Bull are going to be given so much money they're going to be able to develop their own engines anyway.
Either their own engines or they'll have to find somebody else. And that goes for AlphaTauri as well, because Red Bull has 2 teams, both of whom were supplied by Honda, who's leaving. I believe at the end of next year is officially
Yeah,
end of
2022.
2021, right? Or 2022. Okay.
Um,
So, I mean, the way I see it is I don't really understand why at all, because if you're wanting to, okay, you want to invest your time, your money into your emissions free initiative that
yeah.
you're going to build batteries and power cells instead.
Yeah.
So why not also develop that at the F1 level? Or you
I
go
think
look
as much
at
as yeah,
look at Formula E,
yeah.
the
I think
electrical side.
yeah, I
Uh,
think a lot of a lot of companies are gonna start going to Formula E because in Formula One you have to develop the entire car. In Formula E at the moment, you're very limited on what you can design yourself. Most of it is here's the car.
right.
It's only in the next couple of years will they be able to. So a Formula E team costs a fraction of what a Formula One team does cost. But I think the most crucial thing for me that comes from this is who are Red Bull going to buy engines from?
Well, this was my extrapolation, was that I wonder if this could be the triumphant return of a constructor that may have, at one point had a Formula One crew and hadn't since. I mean, I'm looking at Ford, perhaps,
No,
BMW, Maserati, even. Like
the
there's
problem
an
is,
opening.
yeah, maybe, but the
It's just
problem is
whether or
that
not they actually want it.
yeah, the problem is that before, I mean, they'd have to get someone in rather soon. But it took Honda 2 years to develop that engine before it was even in a racing Formula One car. So unless Red Bull have got someone signed up tomorrow, they're going to struggle. I mean, Mercedes won't sell them an engine because why would Mercedes sell them an engine?
Right.
Mercedes don't want to sell an engine to a team that could possibly be faster than them. So
And
that's Mercedes out.
likewise for Ferrari, I'd say.
Well, do you really want to buy Ferrari's engine at the moment?
Right. And they've already got two teams.
Yeah, they've already got two teams. They don't. They've got Haas. They're making enough money, and also the power unit isn't. It's not really desirable, is it?
Right.
Their breakup with Renault was so public that Renault will not supply them engines again. It just won't happen. If that happens, I will eat a can of soda.
Like the metal.
Well, I'll try.
Can I say no to that already?
Okay.
Because you're just gonna slice up your
Yeah, that
insides.
doesn't sound like a good idea. But
No.
basically, for 2 years, while Red Bull did have Renault engines, all they did was bitch about the Renault engines. So
Yeah.
they're not going to be able to really walk back to Renault. They're either going to pay so much,
And
or
Renault's just gonna be like, if you say one thing about
yeah,
our engines,
it's going to
goodbye.
be a no. It's definitely going to be a no. And then, I mean, you're kind of out of people to buy engines from, aren't you?
Well, this is why I think there's an opportunity for another team, another constructor to come back to Formula One. I think I don't see, from everything that you've said, I don't see any other way. I think you have to be talking with somebody now because, as
Yeah.
you said, Honda took 2 years. Well, you've got 2.5 years right
Yeah.
now. So
The problem
start
is
developing it
very, yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah. There's very limited companies that can develop an
Oh,
F1
I
engine.
mean,
Because I mean, if you go down the list at the moment that make an engine that we could like that have got the kind of development power that possible, you've got Cosworth, but the problem is that they supply Aston Martin, who are now a works team, and yes, at the
yeah,
moment
and
using
they're not even on the World Championship uh, wins list.
no. Um,
Well,
I'm
that's
trying
why.
to go through many people that could make an engine, but
Well, that's why I'm
Ford,
looking at Ford and BMW, and I mean Alpha, Maserati's on here.
yeah. Problem is Alpha,
Porsche has one. Porsche.
but
Probably not.
no, I mean they're
Oh, and
already
Ford
doing
was
so well
built by
anyway.
Cosworth. as well. I'm
Yeah.
just seeing now. So
You don't, yeah, unless Red Bull make the jump that they just, because the problem is always going to be with a custom. I mean, Red Bull are the best, like the most successful customer power team, but you're always buying your engine from someone else, which means you don't have control over it.
right, and Red Bull isn't a car company,
No, they're a drinks manufacturer.
right? So
Very successful drinks manufacturer, but
how's an energy drink manufacturer going to develop a Formula One engine on their own?
developing a Formula One engine is a lot like really expensive.
Yeah,
Because like the rest of the car, you need the same amount of people to develop just the engine, and then the way all the other teams
then it has to go
make
around the car, or the car has to go around it.
the way all the other teams make it profitable is that instead of developing an engine for them, they develop an engine and sell it to like one or two other teams. But who's going to go, let's not buy an engine from Mercedes. Let's not buy an engine from Ferrari. Let's not buy one from Renault. Let's buy one from a company that has never made an engine before.
Great idea.
Brilliant.
So the actual race itself last week was a very interesting one. Probably not as interesting maybe as it could have been on the track itself, but with
Definitely.
all the mumbo jumbo that happened with Lewis Hamilton. I mean, so he got 2 time penalties,
Yeah.
10 seconds. He had to. Now, this confused me as well, because the commentators were talking about how you can't serve 2 time penalties at once. So he was supposed to come in twice to serve his 2 5-second penalties.
So,
now, before you respond to that, let me establish that the time penalties were because he had practice starts from an area that he wasn't supposed to be sat in, effectively.
Yeah. So the problem, if I start from the beginning, the problem that Lewis Hamilton had was obviously first and second are like this. Now, in Sochi, where first is on the racing line. Now that means that people have been driving over it all the time, which when you're at speed is great. Second is on the unused bit of tarmac. They don't drive over that much. So the ground's still kind of like grippy, I think. And the problem is that all weekend, all the time, people have been doing practice starts out of the pit lane, which means that the pit lane becomes like a drag strip. Like there's so much rubber there that it has no representation to where Lewis is going to be setting off from. And the problem with that is that he sets like his clutch position. So he does a practice start and goes, okay, that's where I want the clutch to cut in so that I pull away best. So you'll often see them do 1 or 2, or, you know, they'll do one, then they'll play with the wheel and then do another one. So what Lewis did, which admittedly, I struggle to see why is a penalty. What he did was, instead of doing it at the same place that everyone else did it, he rolled 10 meters, 15 meters, I think it was about 50 meters actually, further down, onto an area where he was still, like, everyone still knew Lewis Hamilton's doing a practice start.
Yeah.
Did one, and wasn't happy with it. So was still within the area where he can do, like, he's still within the exit to the pit lane where everyone knows he's doing a practice start. And he did another one. Now, he's been given, the team have been given a £25,000 fine for this. He was given a 10-second penalty, which in F1 is an age.
Yeah. And he still finished third, by the way.
He still finished third. And he's now 2 points away on his driver's license, like Formula One driver's license, from having a race ban.
Wow. Now, I didn't know that.
Yeah, just to put that into context, Romain Grosjean, when he aggressively, when he moved under braking and almost took someone out, so something very dangerous, and did it 3-4 times in a race.
Par for the course of Romain Grosjean, yes.
He didn't get anything. Lewis Hamilton doing something that didn't endanger anyone else's life, didn't gain him a time, like it didn't actually give him more time over the time of the race. Did it give him a slight advantage because he wasn't doing his start in the same place as everyone else? Yes. Is that worth 10 seconds, £25,000 and 3 points on his license? Compared to what other people do, it's a bit of a stretch, in my opinion.
Well, and ultimately not winning this Grand Prix, because like I said, he came third.
Yes.
Bottas won it, despite, the most exciting part was the beginning.
Yes.
The first 3 corners, and then that was probably about it for the rest of the race.
It was kind of a processional race.
Yeah. You had bless you.
Thank you.
You had Carlos Sainz go into the wall after he got squeezed out.
Yeah. Do you think he's just trying to be so bad that Ferrari don't want to give him his contract? Like he's seen the car he's going into, and maybe he's like, if I slam it into a wall at the second corner, do you reckon they'll go, no, we don't want him anymore?
Yeah, and then they'll sign Sergio Perez instead. I know. And then Lance Stroll got run into as well.
Yeah. Which I feel bad about. I mean...
Yeah, that wasn't really Lance's fault. I think wasn't it Grosjean that hit him? Obviously.
Of course it was Romain Grosjean.
Yeah. Grosjean claimed that Lance came down on him.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
But then it's difficult because in the
it was turn 3 or whatever, right?
Yeah. In the first couple of corners of a Formula One race, it's very difficult to know what goes on because there's cars flying everywhere. And I mean, to say that those guys can see what's going on in the mirrors is a bit of a joke because Bottas was going around on the radio and all that kind of stuff, basically like king of the world, all this. I don't take issue with that because you've just won a Formula One Grand Prix. And if I'd won a Formula One Grand Prix...
Well, and something that he's been... And that's what he's been trying to do all season.
Yeah. But he didn't exactly wipe the floor with Hamilton.
No, he wouldn't have done it if Hamilton hadn't been penalized as badly as he did, and Hamilton still came third. He was, 12th when he had served his second penalty?
He was down in 12th and still managed to pull through the grid, get through everyone, catch up, go through, pass quite a few decent drivers, and still manage to get in third and give himself some decent championship points. And given the fact that he had a 10-second time penalty, which I'm just going to call it as 10 seconds at the moment because obviously there is the time of him going in and out of the grid. Overall race time, he was only, if we remove the 10-second penalty, he was only 12 seconds behind Bottas.
Yeah, if you take the 10 seconds off, that's right.
Yeah. So even with the time penalty, he was only 12 seconds ahead of Hamilton, which, considering Hamilton's moved through the entire field, isn't,
and Hamilton was still, with the time that he served, Hamilton still had an 8-second gap on Perez in fourth by the end of it. Yeah. Wild. This unbelievable. So, and of course, we can't forget about Verstappen, who was in second. And that's the only one that I got right from last week because we get to look at our predictions again. We haven't done that in a couple episodes. So I had predicted that it would be Hamilton, Verstappen, Ricciardo. And I think you had predicted that it would be Hamilton, Ricciardo, Verstappen.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
So I got 2 points by our scoring system.
Yeah, so we hand out 6 points in total, 1 for the driver and then 2 for getting him in the right place. So I had Verstappen second, so that's 2 points.
Yeah.
And then I had Hamilton in first, so I get 1 point for having Hamilton
So you
on.
get 3 points. Okay.
So I only get 3 points because I didn't have Bottas at all, and
Yes.
neither did you.
Yeah.
So I mean, we did predict that something different would happen to a degree.
Yeah. I do think that Bottas is going to start to have problems because it seems more and more adamant that those two on a circuit together, Hamilton is always going to be the victor. The only time that Bottas has seemed to do better is when Hamilton gets lumbered with something. It's like
Yeah.
Hamilton had a problem and Bottas won.
Well, and Bottas just seems to have this new attitude that he's going to do whatever Hamilton isn't doing to like opposite him, which is what you don't want. That's not what a team does.
No,
right?
and I don't think it's an attitude that in the long run is going to pay off for him, because it's
Yeah.
not unlike Mercedes to have options. So they still do have the option of promoting George Russell, who is their reserve and test driver, to that seat. So if Bottas starts to annoy them so much, they will just put George Russell in that seat.
Right.
Because they know simulator times between the two of them. They know what the difference is between George Russell and Bottas.
Right. And
So
it's
if they've got a
probably not
Bottas,
that much
no,
in the same car.
if they've got a Bottas that's throwing his toys out the pram and a George Russell that's just going to thank everyone for not being like, he's going to thank everyone for having a car that goes fast enough to keep up with everyone.
Yeah.
Like you saw, I could understand for him how frustrated he was when he had, I mean, his two friends who I hope to be the future of the sport in Alex Albon and Lando Norris behind him, all on a similar strategy. And you saw him driving the absolute wheels off that car and still wasn't able to keep the two of them behind. And then as soon as they went past him, which was inevitable because they both got much faster cars, they just marched off down the field. And he just he just didn't have the ability to keep up, which must be so frustrating for him.
Well, and speaking of marching off the field, we had the wrap up of not necessarily a field, but the Tampa Bay Lightning marched off the ice with the Stanley Cup in tow. Something that I wanted, something that we both predicted, maybe not in the amount of games that it happened. It was 6 games.
Well,
I was wrong twice, though, so I will happily admit that, because I said 7 and then 5.
that's just impressive that you were able to be wrong twice.
Well, and really, when you look at Game 5, Dallas had no business winning that game. The scoring that Dallas received in this series, like a forward that wasn't named Joe Pavelski or Corey Perry hadn't scored since Game 1. And it was Corey Perry that netted the empty netter to win Game 5, and then nobody scored in Game 6. And I was like, well, maybe that's just how maybe Game 5 should have gone. Because Joe Pavelski and Corey Perry were both free agent signings, like veteran free agent signings.
Mm-hmm.
So when the actual core of your team is not scoring and the two veteran guys on your second and third line are the only people providing you offense on your offense, it's not how you're going to win a Stanley Cup.
No, I mean, I think the thing I look at is that, like, there were a couple of games where Dallas kept the deficit relatively same, like it was just 1. But, I mean, the last game, you just had a couple where they just pulled 2 goals out on them and Dallas just didn't seem to be able to recover. So, I mean, the Lightning were the better team.
Tampa, honestly, was almost always all over them, except for Game 1. After this 2 periods in Game 1, Dallas was the better team. The third period of Game 1 was when Tampa took over. And that was basically it for the rest of the time. And I'm happy. The team who deserves to win won. Steven Stamkos became an absolute legend because he played a total of 2 minutes and 56 seconds in the entire series. Captain of the Tampa Bay Lightning, scored a gorgeous goal in his 3 shifts and then left. And that was it.
That's the kind of contribution that I want to make.
Mm.
Turn up, do one good thing, and then go, bye. I'm going to sit on the bench now.
Yeah. Well, so the reason he couldn't play that came out, he had a hernia operation in February and was recovering from that and had fully recovered up until the point where the play-in started. And so training for the play-in round, he had a complication in the final stages of his recovery, which ultimately made it impossible for him to really play properly for the entire play-in. And Tampa Bay was still phenomenal. So that's what I call depth right there.
Yeah,
you lose your captain.
That's sometimes the more important thing. Like, is it good to have one star player or 3 really good guys? In my opinion, 3 really good guys, because then you're not completely boned if you lose one.
Well, and it's 3 really good guys throughout the lineup.
Yeah.
Victor Hedman won the Conn Smythe, which is the playoff MVP trophy.
Grab a drink. I am still listening.
Victor Hedman. He's run off.
I'm getting a drink.
So Victor Hedman wins the Conn Smythe, the defenseman, the first defenseman to win since, I believe, 2012, 2013.
Very good.
Duncan Keith won in 2015, I think. So it's been a few years since a defenseman won it, but Hedman wins it. You could have gone with Braden Point or Nikita Kucherov on the offensive side of things for Tampa Bay as well.
Both played very well.
But it's, again, so those are your 3 big guys, right, Gavin? The 2 forwards and the 1 defenseman. And that's really where it all starts for Tampa. And then it just was built out from there. And that's what I think a team like the Toronto Maple Leafs needs to start looking at. Because they've got the up front and they've got the one guy at the back, and they need they need the extra depth. Yeah, they need the grit and the depth around them. I mean, Tampa Bay picked up Patrick Maroon, who won the Stanley Cup with St. Louis last year.
I think as well, sometimes you need, how do I explain this? You need guys in the building that have done it before, because I think, like, if we look
Patrick
at some
Maroon,
of the, if we look at some of the teams and stuff like that always seem to do successfully in any sport, it's not always necessarily because they've got the best players, but they've always got a lot of players that have done it before. And I think that kind of lends itself, because if you're in a team with a bunch of guys that have never made it to the Stanley Cup, and someone turns around and goes, come on guys, we've got to do this extra bit of practice, we'll make it to the Stanley Cup, then you kind of go, well, how do you know? Go away. Like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do because you're no more successful than me.
Yeah.
But, like, if you look at Calais Campbell, who, I mean, he's a player, I can't even name what team he's on at the moment, but he's a team that's been on, like, he seems to go from playoff team to playoff team to playoff team. And at a certain point, I realised it's not just because he's, like, obviously he's a hot commodity. I think he's actually with the... I think he's with the Raiders at the moment. I'm not sure, but it's the same with the Buccaneers at the moment. The Buccaneers are probably pushing themselves a lot harder than they normally would, because if Tom Brady turns around and goes, if you don't do that right, we're not going to win a Super Bowl, you turn around and go, guy fucking knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, he's got 6 rings, so
6 rings. Evidently, I should fucking listen to him.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes you do need guys that have done it on your team. So, like, if you look at England, England rugby, for a long while we had very, very talented, very, very talented players on our rugby team, but they were all really young. None of them had won anything, and we brought in a load of older guys, not necessarily to play. Like, if you look at England rugby's lineup at the moment, it's a lot of young guys, but we have a couple of the old, gritty, young, like, old guys not because they're going to play, because yes, when they do play, they play to a very high level. But it's more to have that, you need to do this to play at a championship level. And I think that's an underrated trait sometimes, having that guy in the building that can say, no, we're going to do this extra set of runs, or we're going to do this extra set of passing drills because it'll make the difference. Like, they know the stuff that makes the difference in the end, kind of thing.
Yeah. So we'll get to the rest of the NFL and our predictions and whatnot in a moment. But I have sent you something, so we're actually going to do this twice. I've sent you something now on Facebook, and it's the new Vegas Golden Knights third jersey.
Okay.
For hockey. So Vegas primarily has been like their home jerseys kind of a gray-ish, and then obviously their away jerseys white.
Can I start my 3-point dislike of this already?
So negative.
I hate having teams in Vegas.
Yes, I know you do.
I just don't like it. All right. I'm well aware that financially it makes a lot of money. But for me, a sports team should be a place that all the people that live in that town go home of an evening and go, do you know what? I live in Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh Steelers are playing tonight. I'm going to go to my local bar. I'm going to watch the Pittsburgh Steelers play. That kind of thing. Having a hockey team in Vegas, fuck, does that make sense?
Well, I'll tell you right now, they already have more fans in the Florida Panthers and the Arizona Coyotes combined, I would say.
But are those fans, or are those people that are away,
No, they're fans.
on a holiday and want to watch a hockey game?
They're fans. You look at the crowd in the Vegas Golden Knights arena, and it's all Vegas jerseys.
Yeah, cool. If I'm going to go and watch a hockey game in Vegas, I'm going to buy a fucking jersey on the way in.
Are you?
If I don't support either team, and I'm watching it in Vegas, I'm going to go, do you know what? I'm going to support Vegas. I'm going to get myself a hockey jersey.
I mean, they got good jerseys,
probably
too.
Didn't even know it's a Vegas jersey. They just go, oh, a hockey jersey. The cashier could say, oh, yeah, it's this is the home team. And they go, oh, cool, that's really cool. And then when they go home, they go, oh, I got a jersey of the team there. Da, 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 da.
Oh, God, he's pissed off
the Knights?
He's pissed off the entire city of Las Vegas now.
Why is it called
Okay,
the
tell
Knights?
me what's wrong with the actual jersey?
What? Right, okay, well, let's start with the Knights, because it looks like some kind of Spartan thing.
Yeah.
What
Golden
does Vegas
Knights
have linked to that?
Medieval times, gambling.
What in Vegas is medieval times?
No, the medieval,
until 200
attraction.
years ago, it was sand. All right?
Do you not know what medieval times is?
Yes, I'm aware of medieval times, Jared.
Yes, the attraction.
No, because if you're going to call a team the Knights, right? Do you know what football team in the UK is called the Knights? Okay, the Nottingham Knights. Do you know why they're called the Nottingham Knights? Because where their football stadium was and where their football stadium is, when they were putting the football stadium in, they dug up bits of knight armour and went, there must have been knights here. And they called them the Knights. And from the stadium, you could see a fucking castle. Right?
He's very angry about
Name
this
it about what's there. You're in Vegas.
The Las Vegas Aces was a name for a little while.
That makes
that was
sense.
a name that bounced around. Yeah, but what are you going to do? Sense. What's foreboding about a playing card?
Why does it have to be foreboding?
Because it's sports. It's one of the biggest criticisms of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, what's foreboding about a Maple Leaf?
The Toronto Maple Leafs, as a team, makes sense to me because they're from Toronto. There's a lot of Maple Leafs.
I guess.
Yeah. They could be called the Vegas Annulments. That would work.
The Vegas Weddings.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't like the logo, but that's already a thing.
I don't like the logo.
What's the matter with the jersey? You don't like that it's gold?
It's Vegas.
I think it's great. It sparkles, man. I want to buy it, to be honest.
I mean, to be honest, compared to the logo, That makes more sense to me. Sorry. If you're a team in Vegas, what I really want you to come out with, like, do you know what would be brilliant for me if a team from Vegas, like, have them come out in jerseys with a set of playing cards on them, with, like, you know, Caesar's Palace or whatever on, with, you know, it glittering in gold and stuff like that, because Vegas is a land of enchantment and, you know, all
Well,
this
their
kind
mascot
of
is a snake because they're in the desert.
that makes sense, because there's probably some snakes about.
The
But
slithery
it
snakes.
could also, to be honest, just be a stripper. Like, if I'm
Oh,
going to
dear.
watch the Las Vegas hockey team, right? You know, when we watched the game in Toronto
The
and
Vegas
people
strippers.
scored and everyone went, woo! What I want to happen in Vegas
Oh God, is this podcast worthy?
yes, is stripper poles to descend from the ceiling and we take a 5-minute stripper break, right? Right?
Oh my
And
God.
none of the other players, the brilliant bit would be none of the other players not knowing it happened, because there's a player from the other team skating down the rink to go back to the bench, and then suddenly a pole descends in front of him, smashes
Bang.
him in the eyes, and he gets hit by a 50-pound white girl's ass as she comes down a pole. If you're doing it for entertainment, there's some entertainment.
Oh my God. Right. Well, I'm going to run
Brilliant.
away from this subject now.
Hmm.
We're going to run to the NFL so that we can. Oh, good Lord. And the Raiders lost, by the way, because that's the football team in Vegas. But we'll get to that in a second.
I've got more problems with that, to be honest.
Yeah. So our predictions from last week, I think I didn't do quite as well as I did the week before. The 49ers, I mean, yeah, does.
Wait 1 second, I've got to get to that point.
49ers, a pretty big game, 36-9. I think the
What
Giants
week?
are just kind of
My
a
phone's
shell
gone nuts.
of a team.
Wait,
What's
no,
the problem?
okay, I can, sorry, don't worry. My phone had gone weird and it had gone to week 1 instead of week 3.
Oh, yeah.
So, 49ers.
Pretty obvious.
To be
Browns.
honest, I am surprised the Giants.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they are a team that needs to start building from scratch.
Yeah, I would tear it down at this point. It's not gone well. Like you're not even losing to top tier teams. Like not that the 49ers are a bad team.
Yeah, I don't understand where it went wrong. I can understand that you held on to Eli Manning for too long. That bit you in the but at a certain point on that team, if you think about your offensive weapons, you had Odell and you had Shaquan.
Yeah.
Now, yes, Odell was a handful, but he's an incredibly talented number 1 wide receiver.
And now he's gone.
Now he's gone. You had Saquon Barkley, who is going to be the most talented running back one of the most talented running backs in the league. You gave them a young quarterback. Like, those three, you can start to build an offense there. And you can start to build a defense. But, you know, you've got nothing now. So it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Next game is Browns-Washington. And I just want to say, we're not going to talk about this game. But Washington lost that game more than the Browns won it. Because their quarterback just, like, someone needs to give him some sunglasses or something. Because effectively, he would look at the wide receiver he was going to throw at and follow them the entirety of their route. And he did it 3 times and they picked him every single time. I have no sympathy for him. But Browns, with a winning record, which is the first time they've had a winning record. You can say what you want about Baker Mayfield, but it is the first time that the Browns have had a winning record since 2012. So if he isn't working for you, why have you got a winning record?
Right. And you say the Washington team lost this game. I think that was a theme this week. The Eagles
draws.
What's that?
Because the Eagles Bengals, but what do we do about a draw?
It's just half a point, I'd say.
Yeah.
Well, because I think we both picked Did you pick the Eagles?
I picked the Eagles, but I don't think half a point counts. I think just not.
Should we just don't get a point then?
Just don't get a point because neither team won.
Yeah, but neither team lost.
Yeah. I don't want to do half points.
Okay, we will no half points then. All or nothing.
Yeah, because otherwise we're going to end up with like 20.5 points, and we're never
I
going to do
don't
half.
I don't understand why we still have ties in professional sports. Wouldn't have a tie in the CFL. That's all I have to say about that.
Well, it's also the NFL overtime needs a serious look at, doesn't it?
Yeah, what a confusing load of junk that is.
It's also as well is like you have 51 guys on that roster that for 90, the length of for 60 minutes can play their absolute hardest and be at a deadlock. And then you put the entirety of the game overtime. I can understand if it's the 59th minute
Right.
and you as a team decide we're going to put this on the kicker to make the winning field goal. That's
Right.
your decision as a team. But to go to overtime and then 51 guys effectively be told, right, it all rests with the kicker now.
The kicker who, I mean, in the NFL in general, has seen some horrific kickers lately. I don't like. um, I don't get it at all. I don't understand why the
Well,
NFL has such an issue finding kickers
a
because in
lot
the
of them now,
CFL it's
Jared,
no problem.
a lot of them now, Jared, are turning. We've got a major problem in the UK. I mean, not a major problem. It's a problem that NFL scouts are coming over here and taking English rugby players and converting them to NFL kickers, because not only can our guys make it from awkward angles, like as a rugby player, you take the kick from wherever you cross the try line. So if the goal's here and you cross the try line here, you have to take it at that angle. So you
Yeah.
have to take it an oblique angle. Like, so they're used to kicking. If you tell them, right, do you want to just kick it straight through the uprights from 25 yards out? They'll go, yeah, I can do that all day. And they can tackle. So they're more use elsewhere on the field. I mean, the Browns have got they've got an ex-Scottish rugby player who was spotted at under 18s. They sent him to college in the States, and all he does is kick balls. Like, he's just really good at it. They call him the Scottish Hammer, but...
Well,
okay.
regardless,
Sorry, Bell's gesturing to me off camera about something. I suspect the time, but we're probably still about, half an hour to go.
Yeah. I'd say about half an hour. There's absolutely no professionalism with this whatsoever. The Patriots beat the Raiders, and I think that was a good game for the Patriots, a good solid game by Cam Newton and the whole squad.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to talk a whole lot about it. I picked the Raiders for some reason.
I picked the Patriots. You wanted to go opposite to me.
Right. I think that's what's going to hurt me for most of this weekend, to be honest. I go 4 losses in a row here between the Patriots.
I'm on a 3-win streak.
Yeah, and I think you picked the Bears as well. Which, I mean, this is another game, and this is the next game that was lost by the Falcons. I mean, I don't understand how they pissed away another lead.
Oh, yeah.
Give up 20 points in the fourth quarter to the Chicago Bears. They're not good.
I don't know what it is about that defense.
Oh my God.
I do apologize because I'm trying to conduct about giving up a lot of points.
It's pitiful.
20 points in a quarter.
Yeah. It's awful. The Bills beat the Rams, which I think is a fantastic step up for the Bills.
Oh, sorry. Are we not going to talk about the fact that Mitch Trubisky's lost his job?
Are we surprised that Mitch Trubisky's lost his job?
It's not confirmed yet, but Mitch Trubisky played 3 quarters and went 13 for 22, 128 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Nick Foles went 16 for 29, not great, 188, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Yeah, I mean, the guy had 3 touchdowns. I mean, the passes that he did. I mean, it's Big Dick Nick. What else do you want?
Yeah,
he gets it done.
He won the Eagles a Super Bowl. He can probably do it for the Bears.
Yeah, somehow.
Bills
and Rams.
Bills.
Good win for the Bills.
Yeah, Bills are a very good team this year.
Apparently.
Indeed. Yeah, it's not like before where the Patriots had a schedule where they play the Bill. We play the Bills and the Dolphins 4 times in a year, and you're like, oh well, there's 4 wins.
Yeah.
Apart from some unknown reason, when we played the Dolphins at home, the Dolphins would somehow be able to beat us. Never understood that.
The Texans and the Steelers. Now, this was a solid win for the Steelers. It's unfortunate.
For the Texans.
Yeah. Now, not that the Texans played badly either, but this was a complete game by the Steelers, and the first complete game by them in probably a little while.
Mm.
And I don't think there's much more to say about it other than that's the Steelers executed when they needed to.
Just a quick scan over the stats is they had one guy with 100 yards rushing, 109 yards actually, so call it 110. 2 guys that rushed the ball very well. And then if you look down the receiving, it's not like 1 or 2 players have got 100 yards. You've just got an average over about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. An average over 6 players of above 30 yards.
Yeah.
Every single one of them, which may not look like much, but that's the equivalent of 3 guys having 100 yards games. So, you can kind of understand why that did well. The Texans, Deshaun Watson, 2 TDs and an interception. It's good. If you look down, the numbers and stuff like that, I think he's just missing DeAndre Hopkins. He's just missing that safety blanket of, I haven't got an option. Let me throw it deep and see what happens here.
Wait, he's missing his elite receiver? Shocking.
Yeah.
Anyways, Randall Cobb was there for him when he could be, I guess. So that was good, I guess.
David Johnson evidently isn't filling the role that they wanted him to because he went 13 carries for 23 yards, averaged 1.8 a carry.
It's not good, eh? Right. Titans and Vikings. This is another game that the Vikings. This is the game that the Vikings lost more than the Titans won it. Yep. The Vikings were up and then allowed 16 points in the third quarter and lost, which means I lost. That's my second win, third win. Sorry.
Okay.
Regardless, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Chargers and Panthers. The Panthers won.
I had the Chargers on that one, which surprised me, to be honest, because I thought that we were going to get better from the Chargers.
Well, I don't know who these people are anymore. I don't know. Justin Herbert and Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know who these quarterbacks are anymore. So if I don't know, they're probably not going to win. And I guess the one that Bridgewater, I think I've heard of. So, and he won. So I guess we'll go with that.
What's happened to Christian McCaffrey? Is he injured?
He's injured, yeah.
Oh.
Long term, I believe. So that's that.
Oh.
Yeah. Happened last week. So that's that.
So 2 teams that based themselves very heavily around a running back have suddenly realized that, oh dear, without that running back, we're a bit... Ooh.
What do we have? Nothing.
Looking around the room, trying to look for a man with thighs the same size as the room.
Yeah.
Where is Shaquan gone?
Anyone? No? Oh, well, we're screwed now then, lads. The Colts and the Jets, speaking of a team that's screwed, the Jets, 36-7. Pretty similar to the Giants. New York is awful.
It must be difficult being a fan in New York, mustn't it?
At least for football.
Because, who do you go with? Because the Giants are terrible.
And the Jets are worse.
Yeah. If you combine the scores that the Giants and the Jets got, you still wouldn't have beaten either team they played.
And you'd have barely beaten, I think, any team You'd have beat the Broncos, the Jags,
Yeah.
barely the Chargers, because we're looking at 7 plus 9, so that's 16. So they would have tied the Chargers, and that's it. 2 NFL teams. You would have won 2 games. So the Seahawks and the Cowboys. That was a good game.
A
game
very good,
that
very high scoring game.
Well, and this was again. Well, no, not as much. I would say. I was about to say that this game, the Cowboys lost more than the Seahawks won, but I guess that's not true. I guess either team just didn't really decide to focus on their secondary at all.
No, I mean, I think someone needs to start figuring out how to mark DK Metcalf, because 4 for 110.
Is pretty good, eh?
An average of 27.5.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look down, like
and Tyler Lockett had a game for himself as well.
9 for 100. I mean, great game for him.
Yeah, averaging over a first down. Yeah. So he was the guy to go to. And then, Metcalf, 4 catches, an average of 27.5 yards.
What would happen if they got Metcalf the ball like a normal amount of time?
Yeah, like 7 or 8 catches instead of 4.
Yeah. Just give him like 6.
Yeah.
Or 8.
Throw it to him a bit more and see what happens. The one thing about the Seahawks is that they were able to absolutely stuff Ezekiel Elliott. And so the running game really wasn't there. But other than that, they sacrificed the coverage of anyone to stop the run game. 138 yards for Michael Gallup.
Good, yeah. I mean, if you go down, you've got... So the first 3 guys... I mean, I know... So the first 3 guys, between the 3 of them, you can call that 300-yard games. And then below that, it just becomes 65, a 48, and a 24. But there's still a lot of, like, points on the board.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing well. Well done. Great.
Could have gone a little bit better. I did pick the Seahawks, so we're okay.
I went for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think you're still going to win this. I think you're going to win this week, mate. To be honest.
Yeah, I think I am.
And we arrive at another game where the losing team lost a lot harder than the winning team won. Wow, was this embarrassing for the Cardinals? I mean, you allow 14 points in the second quarter for the Detroit Lions, who don't have a receiving core. Their only game is the run game, and you had no answer for it. I mean, Adrian Peterson...
You know what their problem is, Jared?
Yeah.
I will tell you. Where is the nearest lion in Detroit?
Here we go.
They're not based around any form of animal near...
At least there's mountain lions in BC, so we can justify the BC Lions.
Yes, there's an actual lion within spitting distance of the stadium. You can have lions. If we now go to a team that proves my point. Sorry, I need to mark that one. The Buccaneers, because where the Buccaneers were, Tampa Bay was where Pirates used to go. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There were Pirates there. Makes sense.
There's a theme here, I say.
And the Buccaneers, just Tom Brady knows where his receivers are. There you go.
That's good. Great. Moving on.
Yeah. He knows who he's throwing to now.
The Packers and the Saints. I think the Saints got exposed a bit in this game.
Yeah.
The secondary for the Saints can't get it done. And that's a bad sign for somebody like Drew Brees, who is a very good quarterback still.
The problem is that how much money are you having to pay Drew Brees? If you didn't have to pay Drew Brees that much money, you could probably afford a bit of a better secondary. And is he that much of a better quarterback? That's what no one can answer me. He's demanding all the money, but...
I mean, he and Aaron Rodgers had practically the same game. Drew Brees, 29 for 36, 288 yards, 3 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers, 21 for 32, so not quite the same completion percentage, but 283 yards, 3 touchdowns.
And the next game, where I think if you're a cornerback on either team going into this game, you didn't have a very good night's sleep, did you?
No.
I don't imagine you went into this. Like, if you're on the Chiefs side and you're going, yeah, I'm facing Lamar Jackson tomorrow. Or if you're on the Ravens side, you go, I'm dealing with Patrick Mahomes tomorrow, a guy that doesn't throw passes off target. You can never give up on the play because even if he's literally sacked, he's still somehow managed to throw the ball like 900 yards.
He's horizontal with the ground, ready to make contact with it, and still throws a perfect pass.
It's like Patrick Mahomes is in the concussion tent. Oh, there's a pass. Where'd that come from? Just the flap opens. Oh, shit.
Oh, my God. What's happened now?
This was the score doesn't show it, but I think Kansas City managed to just kind of get the they managed to get the measure of Lamar Jackson a little bit. They forced him to run more than I think he wanted to.
Yeah.
Well,
I think this was the most complete game of football that we've seen this season by the Kansas City Chiefs. There's been no better game played, I'd say, by any other team, simply for the fact that, like you were saying, they totally shut down Lamar Jackson's throwing, where he was forced to run, which he's comfortable with, but that's not going to get you the points that you need to beat.
But even
Kansas
when
City
he
Chiefs.
did run, one thing I noticed was a lot of his running came early in the game.
Right.
Because later in the game, and this is one thing I said in the earlier episodes, Kansas City started to punish him for coming out the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
He got hit hard a few times. As you can see, I mean, from the rushing wasn't great. They've got a bit of a rushing game going, but I don't think that's really the kind of team that Kansas City are. They have a running game, but it's a backup.
Yeah, like the carries got them what they needed off the carries, right? It wasn't anything more than that. They weren't having any breakthrough runs or any long plays on the ground, but it got them what they needed. The odd first down, a few extra yards to put Mahomes in the position that he wanted to every time.
And then if you look at the thing that gets to me that shows the hallmark of Patrick Mahomes is it's not that he can do it with one person. Like Eli Manning used to have amazing games with Odell, but the problem is that teams very quickly found out, well, if we take Odell away, he's stuck. If you look down, he has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that have all had plus 60-yard games. So you can't take anyone away because he will just go to the next option.
Mm-hmm.
And if
they're not bad. They're not bad options either. I mean, Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill, they're all good options.
And you can't leave any one of those things exposed because if you leave Tyreek Hill one-on-one with a cornerback, he's not one of these guys. He's not one of these wide receivers that is relying on great hand work or great catching and stuff like that. He's just fast.
Yeah.
Which for me is the ultimate definition of a deep threat because he's not always going to, he's not always going to get a perfect breakaway and stuff like that. But if he's running next to the cornerback, you've got two things that are going to happen. One, he's just going to outrun that cornerback. And there is very limited things that you can do when you're a cornerback and the guy is simply outrunning you in a straight line. Because it's not like you can get smart and undercut his route. You can't anticipate him being, by being further up the field because then they're just going to, get him in space. And if you do manage to keep up with him, which guys like Richard Sherman have kind of managed to do by slowing him down a lot so the play doesn't allow him time to get up to speed, by the third or fourth quarter, you're so tired. because his slow speed is most people's sprint. And he can just put it around. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be a playoff team this year. I don't think that's jinxing them because they are just talented. They're not, there's not anything lost. And I've just lost my phone, so I've just lost the ability to see what's going on. So
the last game was the Broncos and Jets, and we really don't have to talk about that one. The Jets got a bunch of points, which, I mean, whoop-dee, hooray against the Broncos. Way to go.
There was one 43-yard run, which came from Sam Darnold, which wasn't a Sam Darnold being a running quarterback. It was Sam Darnold looking around the field and going, the pocket's collapsing. I've got no one to throw it to. What do I lose by going for a run? And he ran past Von Miller, which a lot of people go, oh, well, he ran past Von Miller. If I'm Von Miller and I randomly see if I see Sam Darnold run past me, my brain isn't, oh, Sam Darnold, tackle him. Is that Sam Darnold? He's out of the pocket? What's going on? I'd be more doing than snapping him half, And
yeah. All right, let's quickly go through next week's games. We won't really touch on them because we've got another topic that we want to wrap the show with. So, Saints, Lions. I'm going to go Saints there, I think.
Yeah.
Chargers, Bucks. It's Bucks for me.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that one.
Bengals, Jags. I think we can go splitsies on this one. Who do you want?
I want the Jags.
Okay, I'll take the Bengals then.
You really don't like that, do you? You're not happy about that?
I did pick them last week, and they came close. So, the Jags are definitely, I would say, worse than the... Actually, I don't know if they're worse than the Eagles or not. Vikings, Texans.
Who?
Vikings and Texans. I think I've got to go with the Texans.
I mean, the Texans really need to turn it around at the moment because they're 3-0.
Well, the Vikings really need to turn it around because they look worse.
Yeah, but who's more likely to do that?
Exactly. And that's why we're both picking the Texans. Seahawks and Dolphins. It's the Seahawks for me.
I can't even argue that one.
I mean, we did have Fitzmagic go at it last week, but...
Well, if Fitzmagic rolls over and is on the right side of the bed, then, yeah.
He'll put up a fight, but it is the Seahawks. We're not talking about
Russell Wilson
Jets.
Russell Wilson is one of the only people that I think that you could put in a ring with Patrick Mahomes and he'd hold up. So,
yeah.
Browns,
Cowboys.
I'm going Browns on this one.
I think I'm going to split with you and take the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys figure it out.
Yeah.
Not that it's going to be. I think this will be another good game. I think this will be a close game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by either team for sure, but I think the Cowboys are going to squeak it out.
Yes.
Cardinals and Panthers. I've got to go with the Cardinals, I think. Kyrie Murray is he's too good. Yes, he had some picks last week, but
who hasn't this year?
Colts, Bears.
Bears.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to split on that.
No. Washington Ravens.
Ravens.
Do you even have to have the conversation there?
Nope. Giants, Rams. No conversation there either.
That's the Rams, isn't it? It just is.
Yeah. Chiefs, Patriots. Are you really going to pick the Pats on this one, buddy?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I think you'll lose.
I say that, Jared, not wanting to put money on it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bet on that. I'm not confident because you're talking about a very, very, very talented Chiefs team.
Very good team.
Against a Patriots team.
Cam Newton.
Yeah.
He's not bad, Bills, Raiders. I'm going with the Bills on this one.
I'm going with the Raiders.
I think the Bills are feeling good. after their win last week.
I'm going to go 49ers.
Yeah, don't think that's a question.
No. And then Packers Falcons.
It's Packers for me. Yeah, there's not too many games that we can go splitsies on. And then we have to add the Bucks and Bears because that's the Thursday game next week. And I think that's the Bucks for me. I don't think there's any issue with that either.
No, I think that's kind of a one team is a lot more talented than the other, isn't it? Just quite simply.
Right. So we're going to wrap the show with the sport that Gavin has zero interest in whatsoever. But I want him to yell about it for a little bit. So
we're going to talk about baseball.
Yes, we are, because the Blue Jays just got eliminated from the playoffs a couple days ago by the Tampa Bay Rays. And this team was not really expected to be this high in the standings in Toronto. I think it was a pleasant surprise for Jays fans, but at the same time, actually, no, I think it's a good thing. In the end, you can't argue with playoff experience, even though they got spanked. Game 3 was 8-2, so it wasn't even close. But they've got a good young core. They could probably use a bit more leadership.
Does the age of the team matter too much in baseball?
So I would say not as much. But when you've got a lot of young players, it's good to add some older folk, like probably more than most other sports. Yeah.
So as I said before, guys that have done it before, so they kind of know what they're talking about. Okay.
Exactly. And so I think that's what the Jays need. I also think Vladimir Guerrero Jr., I don't know what's going on with him, but the league seemed to figure out how to pitch to him rather quickly. And he has not really figured out how to combat that at the plate very well. And from there, he just went into a real slump. And for me, there was all kinds of hype about this kid because he was the first overall pick by the Jays because they were that bad. And, he's the son of Vladimir Guerrero Sr., who played for Montreal and is as good as is supposed to be, is as good as his dad, maybe better and whatnot. But he's very large and not in a fit way. So, what'd you say?
Like golfers.
A little bit.
Okay.
And the Jays have a few guys like that, which I'm a little concerned about as to why the Jays have gone with size in the fast way.
I will never understand sportsmen who have a little bit of, some people it makes sense, but if you're a professional athlete, it doesn't matter if you play golf, baseball, darts, or something like that. Someone's paying you to play a sport.
I wouldn't really consider darts a sport either.
Well, yeah. Your body needs to be in the best physical condition it can be because...
When you're an athlete, yeah, absolutely.
You're an athlete.
Yeah, and that's kind of my concern with the Blue Jays. But I wanted to do... So that's the bit. Gavin doesn't care. But I wanted to do it because little whoop-de hooray of the Blue Jays.
Well done. And that guy's name you said, that could be the name of anything to me.
Correct. So that leads me right into our little game that we're going to play. I have 4 names here for you.
Okay.
One of them is not a baseball player.
Okay.
And 3 of them are.
Okay.
So you're going to have to tell me which one of them doesn't play baseball. Okay?
Okay.
So the first name is Buck Farmer. Okay. Buck Farmer, the first name. Second name is Mookie Betts. Okay. Mookie Betts. Third name is Bobby Bible. And the fourth name is Mike Trout.
Are these stage names?
No.
What was the last name? Flapping Trout.
Mike Trout.
Right. My first point is, where do they find these people?
I know, right? I could just go through the Jays roster. I'll do that for you later after this, maybe quickly. But
so, right. The first one I'm going to eliminate is going to be Buck Farmer.
Yeah.
Because
you think Buck Farmer's a baseball player?
I don't understand why anyone's last name is Farmer. Because the original meaning behind names is whatever you did.
Yeah.
So if you were a blacksmith, your last name was Smith. In my family's case, Hosking is the Latin of horse and horse king, which is we trained horses, we bred horses. So that's where my name comes from. That's where a lot of names tend to come from. If you look at someone's name, you can normally relate it to some kind of
profession a long time ago.
Trade or something like that. So Farmer is off the list.
Okay. So the other names you had Mookie Betts, Bobby Bible, and Mike Trout.
Mookie Betts, I'm going to get rid of as well because that sounds like some deep south name. And I think they're good at baseball.
Yeah.
So it's between Mike Trout and Bobby Bible. I'm going to go with Bobby Bible not being a real name because I don't think anyone's last name has ever been Bible.
Well done. Mike Trout currently plays for the LA Angels. Buck Farmer played for the Detroit Tigers in like the 1920s or something.
Yeah.
And Mookie Betts currently plays for the Dodgers, the LA Dodgers, I believe. Longtime member of the Boston Red Sox.
Can we just go back to Mike Trout? Does he have a wife?
He's a bit younger, actually, and he's one of the best hitters in the league right now.
So you're telling me at some point, and he is a baseball player.
He's 29, and he does have a wife. Her name's Jessica Cox, and they were married in 2017.
I don't want to assume his sexual orientation or anything like that. I wouldn't do that to someone. But the fact that at some point, someone is going to have to address his wife as Mrs. Trout.
I don't think she's taken his last name. I think she's kept Cox.
I wonder why.
Her last name's Cox.
I mean, it's an improvement over Trout, isn't it?
Is it?
Yes. Trout is a derogatory name in the UK. If there's a woman that you like a horrible person, you call her a trout.
Oh, good.
It's lovely. Because a trout is a bottom-dwelling fish that feeds most of its life on poop. So calling someone a trout is basically saying they eat poop. So, yeah.
Right. Before we go, I'm going to give you some great names on the Toronto Blue Jays roster here, okay?
Yeah.
Bo Bichette.
Is there a second name there, or is it like Cher?
No, his name is Bo Bichette.
These sound like stripper names.
Gavin Biggio.
That sounds Italian. That one's all right.
Rowdy Tellez.
Right. Who named their child Rowdy, and where are they? I want to punch them in the face.
Rowdy. I don't think that's his actual name. I think that's a nickname that he just adapted or adopted, I guess.
Also, how to be Rowdy playing baseball? Come on.
I know. Randall Grichuk.
Okay.
We got Teoscar Hernandez.
That's Mexican.
Yeah, or, Central American.
Central American.
Okay, all right. Matt Shoemaker.
I mean, it's a name. Evidently, his family probably made shoes.
Julian Merriweather. Ryan Borucki.
When they're doing sports in America, do they go like, "Oh, you're a tall kid,
Basketball. Yeah.
You're a fast kid with reasonably good hands. All right, wide receivers, cornerbacks, maybe a quarterback. Okay. Oh, where are the kids that can't get up off the bench? Okay, offensive line. Where are the angry kids that can't get off the bench? Oh, okay, defensive line. Oh, where are the kids with the weird names? Oh, baseball.
Baseball.
Yeah. Is your name really difficult to pronounce? Yes, my name is Pepsi Sol Lucasade. Okay. Pepsi Sol Lucasade, you're now the star hitter for the Dodgers. Okay, thank you.
And then the final name I'll give you is Lourdes Gurriel Jr. These are all Blue Jay players, and you already heard Vladimir Guerrero as well.
What is this whole thing of junior as well? Someone needs to explain that to me.
Apparently baseball players, and I guess like Central Americans in particular, just want to keep the name going forever.
Fair enough.
My name's good. I'll give it to my son too.
I'm definitely not giving my name to myself.
No Gavin for your son?
Yeah.
I'll name my son Gavin. There we go.
Oh, aren't you sweet? Well, your son's
try.
definitely going to need better luck in the entirety of his life, not just next week.
Yeah, and that's a good place to end it, I think. We'll see everybody next week, next Friday evening on Better Luck Next Week, where hopefully I have a bit of better luck with my NFL predictions.
And you've come up with a jingle.
And Donald Trump has better luck with COVID.